Luca Guadagnino is a very erotic filmmaker. In Suspiria, he was asking, can I make a cult of witches sexy? In Bones and All, he was asking, can I make cannibalism sexy? In Challenges, he's asking, can I make tennis sexy? And in Call Me By Your Name, he was asking, can I make Armie Hammer sexy? Now that I've seen Challenges, I'm happy to report that he is successful in all 4 of these pursuits. Today, we are going to talk about Challenges, the 2024 Luca Guadagnino film, starring Zendaya and a random blonde guy and a random brunette guy. I'm going to do a spoiler-free section as well as a spoiler section and just talk about all the things I love about this movie. This is a movie that is made for the freaks. Challenges somehow is a sports movie, but not really. It's a romantic thriller, but not really. The premise on paper has the vibe of like a book talk, smart love triangle, sport, romance, fantasy thing. The story is literally this. 2 male superstar tennis players who are in a doubles team basically break up their doubles team and start going head to head to compete for the love of Zendaya. Now, Zendaya is a prodigy tennis player in her own right. As the film progresses, instead of hitting a tennis ball on the court, she starts instead being the tennis ball and is hit around by these 2 guys while they compete for her love and affection and approval. Minor spoilers, but this movie is literally just about one tennis game where these 2 ex-teammates kind of face off, and yeah, it's about tennis, but really it's about winning the approval of Zendaya. This is a simple movie, all right? This is a simple movie. It is just 2 dudes duke it out on the tennis court to basically win Zendaya's heart. But there are so many things I love about this film. As simple as this story is, the filmmaking is not. I don't want to give away what the camera starts doing in this final tennis game, but holy shit. Early on in the movie, there's a section where people are training and they're hitting a ball and the ball literally like swooshes right past the camera.
Even like tennis.
And I was sitting there at that point in the movie going, fuck, how did they do that? Nothing could prepare me for how they filmed this last tennis scene. If you've ever watched tennis on TV, it's very static shots. You don't really get in on the action. Lucas sat there and just decided he was going to put his Ho Guadagnino Nussi into it because it is absolutely nuts. There are these incredible shots from under the court where it looks like they're playing on glass, and I do not want to give away my favorite shot, but when you watch the movie, you will see basically what they start doing with the camera work and how they start moving the camera is absolutely unreal. So on a technical aspect, this movie is nuts. I also love the small scale. You've got Zendaya, who's one of the biggest stars in the world right now, basically teaming up with 2 nobodies, and they all carry this film equally. All 3 of them are fantastic. I'd never really seen any work from the brunette guy or the blonde guy, but they're both fantastic. It's great to see such a technically proficient movie just for such a small scale story. This isn't the Grand Slam. This isn't the Australian Open. This is literally just like a random tennis game at a country club, and it's the only setting where these 2 guys can actually compete because one of them is a tennis superstar and the other one is kind of a burnout. Now, a core part of this movie is basically the idea that these 2 men are competing over Zendaya like she's an object. This is the buy-in for the movie, and I'm actually really glad that like Film Talk, TikTok, the internet hasn't tried to cancel this movie. All 3 of these main characters are absolutely shitty people at different points. There is no one that you're meant to be sitting there and attaching yourself to as a moral guide point. They're all shitty people. Their relationship with love and loyalty is absolutely wild. And all 3 of them know this about themselves and each other and kind of use it to twist one another to their own advantage. The movie kind of starts off with the 2 male tennis players basically competing to sleep with Zendaya first, and from there the movie never lets up. That is the momentum. That is the momentum of the movie. This movie is sold as a very sensual film, but similar to like Call Me By Your Name and even Moments of Bones and All, the actual sexual aspects of this movie are pretty much implied. They're prematurely cut off at different points, and the big kind of centerpiece that has been in all the marketing, I don't want to say it's disappointing, it's properly erotic. It doesn't go as nearly as far as the trailer kind of suggests, and instead it's used as a catalyst to get the plot moving. I wish I could find it, but there was this absolutely terrible YouTube video of this guy I saw basically complaining when the trailer for this movie came out, saying that movies are too sexual. I hope he's seen the movie, because honestly, this movie is actually really restrained and actually subtle with how it deals with sexuality and sensuality for a movie that at its core is about using sex as power. I just love this film's commitment to the bit. Luca has actually come out in interviews and said he hates sports movies, he hates tennis. Similar to how this year's Civil War is a perfect war film for people that don't like war movies, this is an absolutely incredible sport movie for people that don't like sport movies, because it is all about these people just competing over this woman. Look, the long and short of it is go see this movie. Now I'm going to get into actual like spoilers. So basically the momentum of this movie is it's the one tennis game, and basically every set, I believe, it cuts back to a crucial piece of the three-way story that we need to know to inform why this tennis game is so high stakes. So for example, you have a set and then it'll cut back to a point where Zendaya was with the brunette guy. Then you'll have another set and it'll cut back to when Zendaya was with the blonde guy. And I'll need to watch the movie again, but I'm pretty sure this lines up with who's winning each different game or set or whatever. So it's kind of like Zendaya is the tennis ball, Zendaya is the tennis game, all right? And yes, you can say that this is a bit dated and objectify, but by the end of the movie, it's abundantly clear that for 95% of this, she is toying with them and not the other way around. I just love the coldness of the way this movie looks at relationships, friendships, and love. Basically, these two guys that made an amazing team are split up. They're done because they both just can't stop competing for Zendaya. And she knows this. Now, she actually suffers a horrific leg injury that I wish they didn't put in the trailers. Luca is known for Suspiria's awfully brutal gore effects, as well as Bones and All's incredibly graphic content. Watching this lighthearted love triangle tennis movie and then suddenly this horrific leg injury comes out of nowhere would have been such a great moment if they didn't put it in the trailer. Because the whole movie you're seeing there going, oh my god, is the leg injury about to come? And yes, it is horrific, and it's more horrific than what's in the trailer, but I wish we didn't know it was coming, because it completely shifts gears of where this movie's going. Because basically from that point on, when Zendaya breaks her leg, she can't play tennis anymore, so instead she starts playing with these boys. And I kind of love her character, because at the start of the movie you can tell she definitely has more of actual genuine romantic interest in the blonde guy, but the blonde guy is way more passive, way more like nice guy, gentlemanly, and the brunette guy is way more forthcoming, way more assertive, way more like, I want to sleep with you, come over to our room, XYZ. So if anything, even though the blonde guy ends up marrying Zendaya for a long time, that only happens off the back of brunette's sort of big dick energy achievements, right?
Stand here amidst my achievement, not yours!
However, you quickly realize the brunette guy and Zendaya do not work because they both want to be the dominant one in the relationship, and neither one of them want to relinquish control. However, the reason the blonde guy and Zendaya work to the point where they get married and have a kid is because he knows how to work with Zendaya better. He actually trusts her and can sit under her and follow instruction, and she likes that. She likes living vicariously through him. Zendaya is basically a toxic boy mum, one of those toxic boy mums we've seen on TikTok that live vicariously through their son's achievements, but in this case, she's fucking her son. But in this case, she's sleeping with them. And I also love the idea that even though they're married and they have a kid, she is still up for grabs if the other guy can win the tennis game. It's a great reveal when Blondie says to her, hey, if I lose the game, I just want to know that you'll still love me. And she flat out says to him, nah.
Tell me it doesn't matter. Tell me it doesn't matter if I win tomorrow.
No, I'm not a nun. I'm not your mommy.
I'm just asking that you love me no matter what.
What am I, Jesus?
This isn't a twisted moment of like J.K. Simmons from Whiplash twisted motivation where deep down she does actually care. She's ready to be like, no, if you lose, I can't deal with the public embarrassment. So much so that she actually goes to the brunette guy and asks him to intentionally lose the match because she can't deal with that public embarrassment.
How are you gonna look at me if I still can't beat Patrick Zweig?
Just like this.
Early on in the movie, when brunette guy actually is the first one to sleep with Zendaya, back when they're like 18 or 19, I think, he confirms this by holding a ball up to his racket before he serves, similar to how the blonde guy does it. And then at the end of the movie, when Zendaya inevitably cheats on blonde guy with brunette guy reveals this to him by doing the same serve. This leads to an absolutely stunning one-on-one tennis face-off. By the way, the camera work I was talking about before in this spoiler-free section, because I didn't want to spoil it, is when the camera becomes a fucking tennis ball. I don't know how they did that. I genuinely don't know. I know a lot about movies, and normally I can sit there and be like, that's CGI, that's imagery trickery. I have no fucking clue. It literally looked like the camera was being hit by a tennis racket and bouncing off the court. It was absolutely insane. And when it started doing that, I was just like, this movie's unbelievable. I don't even like sports movies, and this was nuts. I love this sequence because they both start intentionally losing rounds when they kind of subtly communicate to each other that they know a deal has been made from Zendaya. And then they basically just agree to have a full-on one-on-one match, 1 point wins all. Amazing moment. Blonde guy wins, and he wins genuinely, and it almost feels like they're teaming up again. They're coming back together. Who knows if they end up teaming up and actually playing as a doubles again, but it ends in a hug, and Zendaya looks fucking pissed, and then the movie just cuts. And honestly, I like how not subtle this movie is. It tells you what it is from the jump. Zendaya literally says, yeah, I don't want to get in the way of you two guys. I don't want to be a home wrecker. And that is what the movie is about. It's basically watching a successful duo's tennis team completely crumble under the weight of just trying to impress someone they find hot. That is the whole movie. And I love that she has no loyalty except to whoever's winning. I also love this idea that the blonde guy is a far superior tennis player than the brunette guy. Like, they say this multiple times. He has actual potential to become a Grand Slam champion, and he has been one before, whereas brunette guy is explicitly told from Zendaya that he's like 170th in the world. However, blonde guy can't beat brunette guy in a one-on-one tennis match because he gets so up in his head. So it's this fascinating thing where the blonde guy can literally be first or second in the world, but he can't beat someone who's like 160th in the world because their personal beef just gets in the way. And that's why the end moment at this random fucking country club, a game that no one really cares about, is so important. And that's what I love about this movie. It's an intimate movie with tons of sensuality. It's incredibly small scale, but it feels like the world is ending. Just quickly, I know I mentioned in the thumbnail that this movie is for the freaks, so let's talk about the sexual scenes. I love the moment when Zendaya is basically like riding the brunette guy and getting him ready for sex and starts tennis coaching him in the bedroom, and he literally goes, hey, can we just have sex? And she shuts it off and starts stretching because she just can't do that. She can't even have sex with him unless they're also coaching. Absolutely like insane moment. In terms of that three-way scene that was so hyped up in the marketing, I actually love the subversion here. Basically, you watch the trailer and I feel like every horny guy and girl at home was like, oh my God, Zendaya three-way scene. Let's go see this fucking movie. And the subversion here is that she basically starts taking turns making out with both of them and then gets them both to make out and sits back and watches. And this is a great, great moment because this sums up how the movie is going to go. They're both going to compete over her, not realizing that she's sitting there enjoying the fight. Absolutely nuts moment. I also love kind of the build up, the foreplay to this scene, the whole courting stage where they're trying to get her to come back to the hotel room. You are similarly shocked when she actually shows up. And also, I love the conversation that they have about masturbation, where basically the brunette guy says that he was touching himself in front of the blonde guy when they were younger, and then that taught the blonde guy how to touch himself. And I think the reason this moment is important is because that actually mirrors the way the relationship plays out with Zendaya, right? Brunette gets to Zendaya first, starts sleeping with her first, and then the blonde guy does it after. And you can speculate as to whether the blonde guy was actually sitting there taking notes when the brunette guy was fumbling Zendaya and not having a successful relationship. I also love that all the sexual, steamy, intimate scenes are with the brunette guy. We never actually see the blonde guy sleep with Zendaya. Now, obviously they had to because they had a child together, but the brunette guy is the only one that gets to kind of on screen sleep with Zendaya, and they actually have another sex scene where she cheats on the blonde guy with him. I think this is subtly backing up the idea that the brunette guy is the more assertive, exciting bad boy type, and the blonde guy is sort of the more submissive, stable one in the background. The only moment we really get of any empathy or intimacy from Zendaya is the scene where she gets home after cheating with the brunette guy and sees the blonde guy sleeping in the bed with their child. But honestly, that's for like a split second, and then she's back to just being an absolute girl boss, right? Like just sitting there watching them tear each other apart over her, and she gets pissed when they finally just land in an embrace after blonde genuinely wins the game. I absolutely love this movie. If you want me to talk about more, I'd happily do like an extended video just with like less footage. Thank you so much for watching. I love this movie. I really, really love this movie. Have a lovely day.